Let us start the new chapter, diversity in living organisms. Diversity means having varied differences in a particular system. Here, what is the system? Living organisms. So, having varied differences among the living organisms in this nature is known as biodiversity. What it is known as? Biodiversity. Right. So let us learn a brief knowledge about this biodiversity in this chapter, diversity in living organisms. The occurrence of many differences in the forms and functions of all living organisms is known as biodiversity.
Sir, what is written there, sir?
Occurrence.
Sir,
Okay.
it is not clear, sir.
Light is focused on that. Okay, I will write on above.
What, sir?
This area only, na? It's not visible. Is it visible now? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Looking for, sir. Sir, what is written there, sir? Occupying.
The occurrence of many
Occurrence.
differences in the forms and functions of all living organisms.
Occurring, sir.
Occurrence of
Occurring,
many.
sir.
Occurrence. OCCURENC. Occurrence of many differences. Right?
Sir, that forms are forms, sir.
Forms. FORMS. Forms and functions of all living organisms. See, every living organism, it is different from the other organism in one or more ways. Right? There are different life forms on this earth. The differences may be in broad three categories. They are size, lifespan, and appearance. Okay. The differences. The size, if you take, some organisms are microscopic. Microscopic means their size will be only few micrometers. Maybe of few micrometers. Some organisms are macroscopic. Microscopic to macroscopic. So if you take a blue whale, how big it is, right? And the largest trees are the redwood trees of California. The tree name is known as Sequoia gigantica. Around some 300 feet height it is going to be there. And blue whale, it measures around 30 meter in length, right? And the largest blue whale even weighs about 100 tons also. So microscopic means of 30-meter length blue whale, 300 feet height redwood tree of California, right? So the organisms show the differences in size, in their lifespan, and in their appearance. These are the broad three categories, and other categories we will discuss slowly. Okay, right? So this is size wise, and appearance. Appearance. Appearance means how do they appear? Do they appear colorful or do they appear colorless? Right? Some organisms, they are completely transparent. Transparent. And some are very transparent organisms too. Colorful organisms, right? Next, some will live for only few days and some will live for years together, thousands of years. So if you take mosquitoes, they are having very short lifespan, and there is one specific insect called mayfly. It lives for only one day, right? It lives for only one day. Whereas if you take pine trees, pine, okay, pine trees, they live for even 1,000 years. So in the lifespan also, from very less lifespan having organisms to higher lifespan having organisms are there, right? Lifespan. From less lifespan having organisms to higher lifespan having organisms.
Pan or life, what is that, sir?
What? Right. Lifespan, from very less lifespan having organisms to, that is mosquitoes like organisms, to higher lifespan having organisms, that is pine trees. Okay, not only pine trees, even we are also having about 100 years of lifespan. Okay, tortoise and turtles, they are going to have the lifespan of 200 and 250 years. Okay, right? So, so few days of lifespan having organisms. What? Someone is speaking something?
Your video is dark, sir.
You adjust your settings, sir. Okay, you adjust your settings. Now is it clear to you?
Not seeing clear, sir. What?
Now is it clear?
It's clear, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Change layout and set sir as stage.
Have you written all of them?
Yes, sir.
Written, sir.
Okay, thank you. See, you need to adjust your brightness, all other settings. I cannot adjust your settings. If my video is not clear there in your device, that is not my problem. Here I have set everything perfect. It is very clear. If you want, you can watch it later in the YouTube. Yesterday, how was the video in YouTube? Was it not clear? How many of you have gone through it? Huh? Was it not
It
clear?
was clear, sir.
Then
It was clear, sir.
same video only I am recording, na? Why some people are simply telling it is not clear during the class? Try to just adjust your settings. And simply some people show thumbs down. Not getting. If you can't understand, if you can't adjust your settings, that is not my problem. Learn how to adjust from the persons who are already knowing them. I'll ask you a question. How many other subject videos are coming in YouTube channel without grid, means with full screen? My video is coming with full screen na, in YouTube. Is it coming with full screen or not?
Yes, sir.
In other subject videos, how many of them are coming with full screen? Are they coming with grid or with full screen? Are they coming with grid or full screen? Huh? Are they coming with grid or full screen? How are they coming? Other than those who are teaching using computer, those who are teaching on the blackboard or whiteboard, are they coming in with grid type or full screen type in YouTube? Answer me here. You are not answering.
Sir, grades.
How many subjects are coming like grids? You no need to tell.
Only one.
Only one. Remaining are all coming with full screen?
Yes, sir. In computer, they will.
Yes,
In
sir.
computer full screen it will come. Those who are teaching on the board, how are they coming? All of them are teaching with computer?
Only Gopalaju sir will teach on board, sir, and you, sir.
Okay. Remaining
Yes,
all
sir.
using computer?
PowerPoint slides, they will present, sir.
Okay. Gopal Rao sir, I can't teach him. Leave it. Okay. Next. This variety of life forms. So these many varieties of life forms are there on this in this nature. All these variety of life forms, did they arise in a single day or did they arise over a period of longer time?
Sir, they arose over a period of long time.
Very good.
Sir, they over a period of longer time.
So it took millions of years for the occurrence of this much of biodiversity in this nature. We are trying to understand this biodiversity. How much lifespan that are we having? Are we having millions of years? Is each human being is going to survive for millions of years? No, no, right? So we are having very less time to understand this biodiversity which has evolved over a long period of time, right? So the variety of life forms arose over a longer period of time. To understand this biodiversity, the time that is available with us is very, very less, right? So if we are trying to understand each and every organism one by one, this limited or less available time is not going to be sufficient, right? So we need to study it by arranging the organisms into groups or into divisions, right? Then only we can understand at least the structures and functions of at least some organisms in our less available time, right? How can we arrange the organisms in groups? What is the property that can be used to arrange the organisms into groups? Can anyone tell? What is the property?
Sir, their lifespan.
Sir, size, lifespan, and appearance.
Size, lifespan, and appearance.
Sir, size, lifespan, and appearance.
So their properties only, but
Sir, their nature.
nature. Anything else?
Sir,
Sir, their
where they live.
lifespan. Their habitable
Habitat, not habitable.
properties. Habitats, sir.
Adaptation to a particular habitats.
Sir, their properties.
Have you heard of this word, similarities?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
So now your class 9th class is there. I asked one of you to make you guys into groups, right? So what are you going to just make use of to make those groups? You take one property like height, you take another property like weight, you take another property like IQ, right? You take another property like a region from where they have come. Okay, those who are having of same height, you make one group. Those who are having of same weight, about same weight, you make another group. Those who are having higher IQ, you make another group. Those who have come from same region, you make another group, right? So what have you done here? What you have observed actually? What have you observed here?
Taking
similarities in height, weight,
Yes.
similarities of groups, sir.
So you have taken the similarities among yourselves, right? You have taken similarities. So similarities among the organisms can allow us to put them into different classes or groups, right? Similarities among the organisms allow us to put them into different groups. So this portion is not clear, na? Right? Let me mark this portion so that I will not write anything there. Similarities among the organisms. Can be used to put them into different classes or groups. Different classes or groups, right? Is that clear to all of you? Did you write this point?
Yes, sir.
And there are certain, now I need to just introduce a term to you, characteristic. What is characteristics? What is characteristic? Have you heard of this word? Characteristic.
Yes, sir.
What is characteristic? Tell me. What is characteristic?
Properties of that organism, sir.
Okay, properties. In what way? Properties. Okay.
Sir, into after what that, sir? Appearance, lifespan,
Good,
size,
good.
and its adaptation to the surroundings and all, sir.
Details of appearance and behavior, which can be also written as form and function, which can be also written as features and function is same, features and function. So characteristics means the details of appearance and behavior, or form and function, or features and function. Is that clear? Right? Have you understood what is characteristic?
Yes, sir.
Details of appearance and behavior, or form and function, or features and function. Okay. So there are some. Shall I give you some example? So if you take our hands, okay, in each of our hand, 5 fingers are there. That is a particular feature. And if you take animals, animals can run. They are able to run. That is one functional feature. And if you take plants, plants cannot move from one place to another place. That is also a functional feature, functional characteristic. Got my point? So this is about different characteristics. Just examples I give. So why I have taken this word characteristic here? There are certain characteristics that decide more fundamental differences among organisms. Using these characteristics, the main broad groups of organisms would be created. Then smaller subgroups will be decided by little lesser important characteristics under the main broad groups. Very complex statement, no? These 2 points you understood? Hope so. All, yeah. All living organisms, right? We just want to make groups. We make broader groups. First broader groups we are going to make, right? Not like this, sorry. We are going to make broader groups by using most fundamental characteristics. Most fundamental characteristics we take. Most fundamental characteristics are taken, and we make the main broad groups. The main broad groups. Most fundamental characteristics are taken, and what we are going to do? We are going to create the main broad groups. And under these main broad groups, many subgroups are going to be created. To make these subgroups, here most fundamental characteristics are used to make main broad groups. To make these subgroups, what are we going to use? Less important characteristics. We are going to use less important characteristics to make the subgroups. Is that clear? Have you understood? In order to make the groups, what are we going to do? We are going to use the differences in the most fundamental characteristics to make the broad groups. Then we are going to use the differences in the less important characteristics to make the subgroups and each broad group, under each broad group, right? Okay. Is that clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So here one part is completed, right, under this chapter, and some two questions are given as in-text questions. Why do we classify organisms? What is classifying organisms? Can anyone tell? What is classifying organisms?
To separate them on the basis of their characteristics and
Organisms.
Similarities, basis of characteristics and classification of
Differences.
differences.
Yes. Dividing the organisms or putting the organisms under different groups based on the similarities in their different characteristics. So this is what? Classification of organisms. Putting the organisms under different groups based on the similarities in their different characteristics. So why do we this? Why we do this? Why do we classify the organisms? Can anyone tell?
Because of understanding, sir. To understand.
To understand the biodiversity of the organisms. To understand the biodiversity of the organisms in a lesser time span. Okay. To understand the biodiversity of the organisms in a lesser time span, we classify the organisms. Okay. Give 3 examples of the range of variations that you see in life forms around you. I already gave this answer. What are the 3 examples of the range of variations? What are the 3 examples of the range of
appearance and lifespan, sir?
Lifespan, appearance,
Appearance,
and size.
size and appearance, sir.
Good. Remember those 3 things,
Yes, sir.
right?
Lifespan, size, and appearance.
Good. Okay, I'm actually winding up your class now only, right? If possible, today evening I will take one more class. Are you ready to attend?